What's up, guys? Bingo here, and I'm with the Duel Factory because we have a new ban list that dropped earlier today. So we've had a couple hours to think about it and just go over it while we're at work. And it's pretty impactful. It's pretty minimalistic, but it's definitely worth talking about. So first things first, it's effective this Monday, the 29th of April, and it's essentially going to be our WCQ ban list. So what we have now and what develops, that's what's going to be expected going into the WCQ. So with that being said, we're just going to go through every card that was hit, the implications for the decks, and how we think they'll adjust, and go from there. So the first one on the ban list being Summon Sorceress. Obviously, everyone was expecting this. This wasn't some secret, but it's pretty impactful as far as what comes out of it. So when you see Summon Sorcerer hit, Joe, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, Lone Fire Blossom for the extra deck is no longer a thing. That is fantastic. Summon Sorceress is also the root of a lot of FTKs and a lot of degenerate combos and stuff like that. So, honestly, it had its time. It was fun. It's great, but now it's gone. So you're not gonna see as many degenerate combos and stuff like that. People who do stuff like that, but I mean, taking away Lone Fire from the extra deck's like really important.
Yeah, obviously it affects Danger Thunder and Orkest and a couple other tier 2 decks, but those are the big contenders that it changes. I think this plus the other hits completely change how Danger Thunder is going to be built. Like, I actually don't know what the power play of the deck is going to be at this point. So,
I'm 100% sure because I haven't been able to... go ahead.
I was going to say, you're the Danger Thunder player in our group, so what do you think is going to happen? I know you haven't really got to test or theory, but...
Well, what I think of it when I see Summon Sork and Reproductus are gone, I don't think the build changes that much dynamically. Obviously, you can't do the... You can't do like the Summon Sword play where it takes Eclipse Wyvern straight out of the deck, and you're. But I mean, like, you're still probably going to play the Guard Dragon build. I just don't think it's going to be as degenerate and as easy to make an unbreakable board as it was, because Summon Sword made a lot of those plays possible. Summoning Eclipse Wyvern straight out of the deck, summoning cards like Diabolo straight out of the deck if you already had Eclipse Wyvern. Being able to generate 2 Guard Dragons in the same position to be able to make all your plays and whatnot, it facilitated a lot. But I think, in terms of what we still have access to, you have to change how you go about it, because I think Saryuja becomes that much more potent and that much more necessary as a combo starter versus being an extender, but that's my initial thoughts on Danger Thunder for it.
I'm just like going over in my head thinking what the end state of the board is going to be. Do you think they'll shift back towards more Thunder cards? Because obviously the last version of the deck, you were using Summon Sork to really utilize the Thunder engine itself. So do you think they'll go back to a more Thunder Dragon focused build, or is it still just going to be like that's the icing on the cake?
I think looking and going forward, you're going to see a split between more combo-based Thunder Dragon and then more pure Thunder Dragon. Because already off the bat, you saw people playing pure Thunder as of late, just popping up randomly and stuff like that. For example, Tayfun over in Europe and whatnot has been playing pure Thunder, and there's a couple people... I see it on Dueling Book a lot, too, where people are playing... Because Summon Sork is gone, you might see it become a little bit more prevalent. But at the same time, like, you still have access to the entire Guard Dragon engine. You have access to the entire Danger engine, because I didn't touch a single one. I mean, so that you can't discredit that at all, because that's like the proven theory of the best version of that deck. So I think at first you'll see a split, but I think it'll gravitate more towards the Danger build. I just don't know what direction it's going yet.
Well, because I was thinking about it, obviously Summon Sork is how you got the Thunders pretty much on the field. Sometimes, not all the time, but you're using Saryuja, and right now that's the only way I can think of actually getting your Thunder Dragon engine online is specialing off Saryuja. So
it's a big part. Another one, I think one of the plays that's going to become more prevalent is you're going to see a lot more Solar Hawk plays, because that was another way you got into it. Because you can also use those cards can also make summon summoner, which is also a thunder monster. So you got to keep that in mind. Another big thing is summon. It particularly was really good in like your Sky Striker matchup because it put a thunder monster on your opponent's side of the board.
Yeah.
When me and you were testing initially, I remember doing that too a lot in games 2 and 3. I would put a thunder dragon on your board and force you to get rid of it.
Yeah,
but I mean,
at the time, the rule that you couldn't activate Area 0, so the only way to clear it was multi-roll under Colossus. But that's changed since then. But go on.
But yeah, that is a play that we don't have access to anymore, and I think that might be a little bit more impactful than we think.
Yeah, I don't know
your basic string of combos are still the same.
Yeah, I don't know if the just Thunder engine will just kind of like Colossus is the reason that the engine's good, right? Like
yeah, I mean,
the Thunder Dragon monsters themselves, they're not particularly scary unless you're playing Necros, but I don't know if they're good enough or consistent enough at this point because consistency beats power in a 10-round tournament every single time.
Yeah, it's just one of the things that like time will only tell after that. As the format progresses, stuff like that, like obviously I'm still going to play Thunder because the core of the deck is still the same. So
yeah, and as far as Thunder goes, I actually think going back to focusing on the Thunder engine could be the better version of the deck, but like you said, we won't know until further testing. But we've talked about Summon Sork impacting that deck a lot. The one that I think we need to talk about is Orkest, because really I was looking into the combos and thinking about them, and their power plays are like, with the current version of the deck, obviously Yu-Gi-Oh players are going to adapt, but it's like setting up 2 Fog Blades with Bardiche and summoning back the Xyz monster on your opponent's turn to pop a card.
Yeah, I think its name's Dengursu or something like that.
Yeah, so you just set up Galatea with the field spell, and then you have like 2 Fog Blades, and you can summon that dude back with was it Skeleton?
Yeah.
So
symbol horror skeleton.
It's nothing compared to what we were looking at prior to this ban list, because I was terrified of this deck.
Yeah, what we were gonna have versus what we have now was going to be insane.
Yeah, like, you're gonna have to be facing down a VFD with like multiple interruptions, like 3 or 4 interruptions, and that was scary. I thought it was gonna be top 2 to top 3 decks of the format, but I don't know if the deck is gonna be. I don't know if it's going to be on the top tables because it just doesn't seem it's that scary. It's like you have to stop Mermaid, which isn't that hard to do.
I think you're still going to see it at the top tables. That the reason I say that is because if you take a look over in the OCG, where they've been without Summon Sort for a lot longer than we have, the deck is still having success. It summons Dengursu, then links it off into another Galatea that can set the counter trap and then be able to revive itself. Yeah. So I think you're still going to see. Now, granted, it's not going to be at the same power level because obviously you don't have access to those cards. But another thing that we have currently that the OCG doesn't have right now is we still have the Danger Engine, and people just seem to forget like how powerful of an engine it is in that deck because it fits the requirements perfectly. Now, that being said, Summon Sort can't summon the wand straight out of the deck, which is one of the real big plays because but the level 4 was huge. But other than that, I think it's still going to be a 1.5 deck for sure.
Yeah, that's how I would put it.
But without Summon Sork and the rank up magic being gone as well, I don't think it's going to be as prevalent as it was going to be with those cards.
Yeah, it was already a hard deck to play for your average player. So I think good players that really believe in the deck, they'll have success with it. But your average player at locals or regional, like, they're gonna go X2 and drop.
I don't know. I still think it's going to be one of those wild card decks you'll see at the YCS because even though without Summon Sort, the Orkest engine itself is insane.
Oh yeah.
Like one mermaid equals 5 monsters. You can't just disregard that.
Yeah, it's Boral Sword OTK.
Easy peasy.
All right, so we'll move on from Summon Sorceress because that honestly is probably either the most impactful or second most impactful change to the overall game. Everything else affects individual decks. And the next one being Galaxy Eyes Dark Matter Dragon was banned, right?
Yeah, so I know it had to go. It had to happen. But am I wrong for wanting to grieve over the loss of Dark Matter Dragon?
Yes. That card did nothing healthy at any point in its life, and you can take your binder full of them and throw it in the garbage.
I will never take my binder full of them and take them away to the garbage.
What do you got, like 120 of them or something?
Did nothing healthy for the game whatsoever. When I first read that card, this was back in like 2015 when I first read that card. Because that's when we got it. It was towards, it's when we got the Necros deck. It came out in that Gold Series. But when I read it and it said send 3 dragons with different names and I read it as a cost, my mind just exploded right there on scene. And just to think about that, we've had that card for over 4 years now and it's finally getting the
Yeah. And then you read the whole effect and you're like, wait, did I miss something? And then you realize it doesn't say once per turn.
The card was insane. And then the cards that got released to go with it made it even worse. Because at first, Galaxy Eyes Dark Matter was a huge contributing factor of why the rulers got banned to begin with. Because I'm just picturing it now. If we had, like, for example, the Blue Eyes deck that I had been playing, I'm just imagining it if, like, instead of my Dark Matter sending all these little, like, niche combo pieces on top of it. Oh, man.
Yeah, obviously this was part of the Gandora FTK, but what I think Konami was doing with this deck is they wanted the format to stay relatively similar. They just wanted to bring down the power level of the best decks, right? Just to make tier 2 a little more competitive and not I have to draw sphere mode or I lose. So we'll take that into the WCQ and then adjust for Worlds, which that's not a real format. And then they'll bring stuff back off the ban list, right? Maybe we'll get a ruler. Maybe we'll get some of those things we were looking for or hoping for on this list, like Construct of 3.
I think one of the big things with Dark Matter also going is no deck that has access to A, Guard Dragons, or B, any rank 8s no longer has the ability to put Domain of the Monarchs on the field. I'm just putting that out there.
I guess that's a fair point.
Like, think about it. That's the whole reason Dark Matter decks that are not the new FTK that we just saw, but if you look all the decks that are playing Dark Matter, they were all playing a copy of Arcbrave Dragon, they were all playing a copy of Goliath. So right off the bat, you're already at an advantage if you're a rank 8 deck or any deck that can play Guard Dragons, because you have access to Domain of the Monarchs going against any deck turn 1, and it's makeable. You don't have to search it, it's makeable. So you take that away, and it makes the decks infinitely more fair, because now you just can't take away their extra deck from your opponent.
Yep. And on top of not being able to use your extra deck, you also can't search, and you got to play through 1 or 2 negates, right? Seems fair.
Exactly. Now, the deck, obviously, like you're saying, you still have to play through. Now it's probably just going to be multiple negates and not being able to search, but I mean,
that's one less thing you have to deal with, right?
Right.
Okay, so the next card, it's not going to be much to talk about because it's pretty simple and I love it, is Phantom Knight's Rank Up Magic Launch, right? This card
100% had to go.
Yeah.
100%.
There was absolutely no argument whether it should be this or another enabler, because this was the problem. This fucking made your Azathoth, made your VFD, and this was the problem card. So the game's in a lot healthier of a state now.
It's one of those things where you should not be able to Majesty's Fiend your opponent for no penalty whatsoever. You just shouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah. So
and now
I am glad this card is gone, because Azathoth is fine as long as it's not in an FTK deck, right? You're using it to push through a board. That's what it's for. I'm pretty sure. So I'm glad they didn't hit that card. VFD, no, there's never going to be a rank 9 turbo deck, but this card needed to get out of our format.
VFDing your opponent on their turn's not fun either.
Yeah, you could rank up on your turn, right? That was the thing. So you didn't. So Pankratops couldn't out it. Twin Twisters couldn't out it. Or does it say during your opponent's main phase?
You have to activate it. I think rank up magic of the PK rank up. It has to be during the main phase.
Yeah, but can it be your main phase, or does it have to be your opponent?
Actually, yes, I believe it can be your main phase.
Yeah, so you didn't have to set the card. You just used it. And
yeah,
you had a VFD. All right, next card, Lady Debug. This was one of our guesses as to how they're going to hit Salamangreat. The deck's still great. I mean, this is just like a slight adjustment.
Oh, I couldn't hear you. Cut out real bad.
Lady Debug to 1.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's just it ended up becoming a Stratos for archetype specific deck, which happened to be Salamangreat. And currently, Elemental Stratos is at 1, and then Konami's been going on a theme where search cards are going back down to 1 anyway. So that, I think putting Debug to 1 was the most fair thing you could do to the deck, being as it.
Yeah, being as it's brand new.
That being said, like, say it one more time.
So being as it's brand new.
Yeah, being as it's brand new, I think that was the fairest thing you can do, because technically Lady Debug is a generic searcher for any Cybers deck. That being said, nothing of the core of the deck was touched or anything like that, and one of its best matchups, not best matchups, but worst matchups, honestly got hindered with Summon Sword being gone, which being in Thunder Dragon. So it's like...
Yeah, Salamangreat's going to thrive this format. It's really easy to play. It's really accessible, with the exception of a few cards now. Signet Mining is going to be an expensive card.
Oh yeah, for sure. Anything that's just a Rhoda for Gazelle is going to be expensive.
Yeah, it's especially with Lady Debug being at 1 now.
Yeah, well, one of the more interesting things too is that I think Buffalo just outright becomes the best normal sign in the deck. I really do.
Yeah. So it's not going to be... It's just going to be, do you play... Is Signet Mining a hard once per turn?
I think so.
Yeah, I would hope so. So it's how many of each card do you play? That's all it's going to be.
Right. And I think after like a couple weeks of testing and whatnot, you're going to see more defined builds and whatnot. So only time will tell. But I think that deck got really good. Like really good, really fast.
Yeah. Next one, Phantom Skyblaster. This was just a necessary hit. I know some people weren't even playing Skyblaster in Danger because you don't want to discard it, because then it's just like pointless. But it's just a card that's too old, didn't really age well, or age too well.
Yeah, it did. I still think it should have been banned, because now it just becomes a sacky one if people decide to play it.
Yeah,
but I mean,
I agree, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, being at 1, you're going to see it less consistently and whatnot. So, I mean, I guess it does, the ban list does what it's supposed to do there, but I'm not cool with, like, super sacky game-breaking 1-ofs and that.
Yeah. So, the next card going to Limited is Kagari. Oh, I think we lost Joe.
No, I lost you because I couldn't hear you.
Kagari to 1.
So, Kagari being at 1, I think that was the absolute worst thing that could have happened to that deck.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think it could have lived with, like, 2 Engage, 2 Auto Anchor and whatnot, but, like, the one thing, like, the deck did, like, best was, like, outgrind its opponent. I think that ability is severely hampered because Kagari's at 1. Plus, I also noticed people were looking at playing cards like Magnet Reverse. And you were talking about playing Reborn in your deck and whatnot to be able to recycle Kagari, but it's not going to be the same as having multiple copies in your extra deck. It's just not.
The reason I didn't hit Kagari on my ban list prediction is because we don't have Avarice in this format. So the OCG has 1 Kagari, and they play like 9 hand traps, and they'll just spam unnecessary link monsters, like go into extra Kaina or Hayate to feed them into the grave, and then shuffle Kagari +4 back into the deck. We can't do that. So I honestly think Sky Striker is going to be a good option to play, and a good player will make it work because they know how to play the game. But it's just going to take your average player and the skill gap is going to show a lot more between an average player and a good player.
Yeah, it gets infinitely wider at that point. It's one of those decks I think that it'll still be represented, but it's not going to be as dominant as it has been. Not even close.
No, and I think a lot of people are going to drop it because the power of the deck is just not. It's not the same. You can't just go +3 off of a Kagari for no reason. You know, it's like, do you use that Kagari turn 1 in hopes to recycle it, or do you save it till you need it? I don't know.
Your turn 1s are still going to be insane, but after that, it's just going to be so stirred.
Yeah, Hercules base is just not. It's not good enough. You don't want to waste an engage search for a Hercules base. You definitely don't want to, and like, you can't pseudo search anything at any point anymore, right? You can't Hayate add it back with Kagari.
You just don't have the expendable resources anymore.
Yeah, I think the deck's going to be fun to play, and I'm not going to get rid of it, but I will not take it to another event.
For sure.
What is the next one?
Super Poly 1 to 2.
Okay, but real quick on the Sky Strikers, I think that's just another like Salamangreat. It was like a buff. You know, Salamangreat versus Sky Striker matchup was not the easiest thing in the world to do, and with that being less relevant, Salamangreat is just going to be more popular than it already was.
They have to play through infinitely less interruptions.
Yeah. All right, Super Poly to 2. I was not happy to see this, mostly because I only have one secret rare. But I don't think this was necessary.
Well, it's one of those things. I don't think it does enough, honestly. Especially like, when Salamangreat are already citing like multiple copies of Fusion of Fire already. Basically, do the same thing that Super Poly does. The only thing Super Poly has on top of Fusion of Fire in the mirror is that Super Poly can't be responded to, but Fusion of Fire is also searchable. So there's that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a Salamangreat player or a Danger player. I actually have no idea what I'm going to be playing this format. But if I was, I would just be a little more frustrated because anything that's spell speed 4 just pisses me off. Like, it's not how the game's supposed to be played. And if I have a board and it just gets super polyed away, like, I just don't think that's fun. But
no, not at all.
All right. And then Miscellaneous Source to 3. This will do nothing, but I'm glad to see it.
I mean, it's cool, but like, it's just way, way, way too late.
Yeah, without Danglong, it doesn't. Like, I know we have Ib, and I know there are combos, but it's just Dinos is already struggling to play through one interruption as it is, and you could just hold everything till the main battle phase if you really have to. I don't know.
No.
It's not going to do anything.
It's really not. I mean, having the additional fire makes a True King build a lot better now because your Agnemazut or Fire True King has another fire target, but I mean, it's still way, way too late.
If you are a Dino player, you should be rejoicing, and you could definitely do well at a regional with it, but that's about it. I'm glad to see it back at 3. Didn't deserve to be hit in the first place.
Agreed.
All right, so that is our just overall general thoughts. Joe, you got any last minute comments or things about the meta?
Free my rulers.
Oh yeah,
Free my boy Tyler.
That's what I'm looking forward to on the next ban list is stuff coming off after the WCQ. That is my number one thing I'm looking forward to. But if you guys want to see a more breakdown oriented video, we're going to be filming that later in the week where we talk about, you know, what decks have favorable matchups, what we think is the best deck, second best deck, or what we're going to be playing. If you want to check that out, look for it later this week. Remember, subscribe, leave a comment, hit the like button. Go check out the Duel Factory if you're watching this on my channel. Go check out my channel if you're watching this on the Duel Factory. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys later.
Okay, bye.